Hi guys, Crystal here from Homemaking on the Homestead, and today I am going to be talking about my life, raising my children, a few reflections. This is a question answered, or a couple questions that were answered, so a Q&A. I filmed this video actually yesterday, and the question involves both talking about raising a big family and homeschooling, and so I just answered it all, filled it all out, and ended up with way too much for one video. It ended up being way too long, so I am going to be doing this video in two parts. So today will be part one, where I give you some of my thoughts and reflections on being a mom of 8 children, and then the next video will cover the homeschooling. Throughout the video, I will be sharing pictures of my kids over the years, and for now, though, we are going to move on with the video. So let's take a minute and I'll show you what I got going on here in the kitchen. I am making some pumpkin cookies today. I had still a little bit more pumpkin left from that can. If you saw my last couple of videos, you'll know I made pumpkin muffins and I made pumpkin bars, and today we are making pumpkin cookies. And I also have some chicken broth going on back here in my Instant Pot. That is for dinner tonight, and you'll actually be seeing more about that in an upcoming video where I am putting together another 5-day frugal menu plan. I got a lot of good positive responses from that last time, so I thought I would just film up and do another one of those for you. So that's what's going on in the Instant Pot, and right now I'm going to get going on getting these cookies, the cookie batter, all made and getting the first batch in the oven. First batch is in the oven, and I am going to read you the comment. This comes from Mamia. I think I'm saying that right. You can let me know if I'm not. And this is what she asked me. I'd love to hear more about your life when you were in the trenches of motherhood. Did you always desire a large family? What are some things that you loved about homeschooling? I'm 25 and I desire to have a large family. I have 2 children, but I wouldn't mind 6 kids or even more. And the Lord is leading me to homeschool my children. So I'd love to hear from older women to hear your experience. You know, being in the trenches of motherhood, that's kind of a very broad topic. So for people that don't know, if you're new to my channel, so I have 8 children. They're all grown. I have 17 grandchildren now. So I have been... my youngest is 24, so I haven't been in the trenches of motherhood for a very long time. I will have to say that having a big family it's definitely a lot of work, but I absolutely loved it. I had no issues with having a big family, and just all the things that came with it. What I look back on now, I don't really think so much about all the work that it was, as much as I think about all the good times and all the memories that were made. Having a large family is like a completely different lifestyle than somebody that has 2 or 3 kids. It really changes your perspective on everything that you do, from down to the simplest things to more complex, like, what are you going to have for lunch? Let's have peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. When you're feeding that many kids, now we just go through an entire loaf of bread. A good chunk of my jar of peanut butter is gone, a whole jar of jam is gone, and so you think everything thinks on the bigger scale. A lot of people, if you have a couple kids, maybe when you're out and about, you might decide to, I think I'll go over to McDonald's and get everybody some lunch. For me, that was huge, because that ended up being a lot of money, and we were always frugal. So, you just end up doing everything you do differently. So when we did go to town for an entire day, which was often, because I live out in the country, but I would pack everybody's lunches for them, and it's just a different mindset. We took a vacation very rarely with the kids because, again, everything was much more expensive and you had to do it in a much bigger size, in a bigger way. After my oldest son had moved out, the 7 that were remaining at home, we decided one year to take a vacation to Illinois, and we had a 12-passenger van. But by the time you get all the clothes and all the things that 7 kids need, plus mom and dad, you ended up with a lot. We had to actually rent a trailer so that we could put all the extra stuff that we needed to be able to tow along with us as we went. When we went, we had to have 2 motel rooms every time we would go because we were too big to be in one. And so that was, plus we took a dog with us. So let's just, throw more into the pot here. That's why we didn't do it very often. But my kids, for the few trips that we did take over the years, my kids ended up with amazing memories from that. And they'll still talk to me about it today. Mom, remember when we went to Illinois, or remember when we went to here or there. So you make more substantial memories, I think, perhaps, than maybe people who are vacationing every year or something like that. But the day-to-day life with 8 kids is what I absolutely loved. I mean, it was always hectic, and I learned to be, I can't say always hectic, but there's a lot going on when you have 8 kids. You've got all the laundry and all the food and the house cleaning and everything else going on. I learned to be much more organized. I learned to structure my days much better. I learned to fit everything in an orderly manner and teach that to my children as well. I learned how to delegate. I read somewhere at one point, it said any mother of a 6-year-old who still is taking out the trash needs to really rethink this. And it's true. My kids all had chores. They all had jobs that were assigned to them as they were age appropriate. And I don't think we give kids enough credit in what they can do at pretty young ages. And my kids learned very early on, very young. There was approximately 20 to 25 loads of laundry that I did every single week when all of them were home. As my kids got old enough to be able to operate the wash machine and the dryer, everybody got a laundry basket in their room. And everybody had a specific laundry day, and they were responsible to do their own laundry. I had chore charts on the refrigerator with all the chores, daily chores divided out into the kitchen, the bathroom, the floors, because when you have that many people in a house, the floors are always cluttered and dragging in dirt and things like that, especially, again, living in the country. So somebody was in charge of the floors. And, of course, I helped with all these chores. I supervised all these chores. But, everybody knew after a meal who was responsible to clean off the table, who was responsible to be loading the dishwasher, who was responsible to be putting leftovers away. We got to be very organized. I think if you're not organized and you have a large family, then you have chaos. I mean, there's no other way around it, because these things need to be done, and a mother will absolutely wear herself out if she does not organize, delegate, and keep things running smoothly. And did I always desire to have a large family? So that's kind of interesting. I know when we started out in life, we did not start out thinking, hey, let's have a big family. That was never on our mind. I remember when I was about 10, my father had a business associate, and he had 12 children. That was just like, whoa, I couldn't believe that somebody would have 12 children. I am the third of 3 children. My brother and sister are much older than I am, and so they were grown and almost gone when I was a little girl. So I was almost raised like an only child. And so from that perspective to somebody with 12 kids just was like, that was crazy. But there was something in me that kind of liked it. I thought that would be neat. You'd always have a playmate. You'd always have things going on in your home, and I like that. But when we started, and I've shared my story in past videos, we just kind of got started out with first a baby, and then everything else followed afterwards. We didn't do it, in the way that it should be done. But we had the second one 3 years later, And then 3 years later, I had a third. And after that, I really felt like I was probably done. One of the things that I have to say is having those 3 babies, I absolutely loved it. I loved the whole process of, you know, being pregnant. I loved the birth. I loved newborns. I loved babies, their smell, the little toes, the little fingers, all of those wonderful things. I just absolutely loved that. It was about the time after my third child, my daughter, was born, that I read a book called The Way Home by Mary Pride. And I will say I did not agree with everything that she had in that book. Oop, first batch of cookies done. Hold on. Okay, where was I? Yes. While I did not agree with everything that Mary Pride had in her book, I think it changed my perspective greatly. I really think that made a different viewpoint in my head to view children as a blessing from God, and to know that you know, each child is a gift, is a special gift. And you know, are we afraid to have children? Do we fear the financial? What is our fears? And to realize that when God gifts you with something, He's going to enable you to be able to provide for that gift. He's not going to gift you with something and then go, you know, and then end up not following through to be able to take care of them. Now, I'm not, you know, I'm not saying that people won't struggle or people won't have problems, and this just ended up being my view, and I totally understand the flip side of it too. People need to be responsible by, you know, when is enough enough? When have you reached your feeling of, you know, mentally, physically, everything else, that, you know, I'm done. And I totally agree with that. I understand that. And this is definitely not a philosophy that I put on other people or push on other people, even my own children. I have, you know, one daughter that's had 2. I have another daughter that's had 6. I have another daughter that's had 5. And, you know, they are making their own individual choices as far as how many children they have and how they feel about that. So, but it changed my mindset at that point from something that you avoid at all costs, having another baby, to something that if God blesses you that way, that, you know, thank Him. Every child is a gift. So I ended up having 8 kids at that point, and the rest of them, numbers 4 through 8, actually came in pretty quick succession. I had all 8 of my kids in 15 years, I believe. So, you know, that's that was a lot as it was. Physically, by the time I got to number 8, I was exhausted, and you know, it was kind of a flip. I didn't know where I was at. By the time I hit number 8, I thought, you know what, I'm done. And I ended up having some medical complications and was not able to have any more children after that. Anyway, I always would look back and think, would I have had more? Would I have waited a couple years and kind of recovered physically and had more? Maybe, I don't know, but it's okay. I feel blessed to have my 8 today. They bring me so much joy as adults, and I would not trade it for a thing. I would, if I had to do it all over again, I would do the same thing. Okay, guys, so at that point I went on and started discussing the homeschooling aspect of raising all my 8 kids, and but I could talk for a long time on my life as a mom, because it was such a huge portion of my life and such a wonderful, absolutely wonderful time in my life. I have days now where I miss that so much. I miss all the activity. I miss all the chaos. I miss all the little people. I miss the reading times and the snuggle times. And I just, yeah, if I could go back to those days, sometimes I would do it in a heartbeat. And then other times I'd be like, no, I'm happy in this season of my life, which I am. But it certainly brings back a whole lot of fond memories of having those children and just raising a big family. I hope this helped answer the question that was given to me. I appreciated having the question and having the opportunity to share a bit about my life as a mom of a large family. And stay tuned for number 2, which I will be talking about homeschooling. All right, you guys, I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.